Early in the year 2000, when Maine was enjoying an unprecedented budget surplus, Governor Angus King announced a $50 million initiative to put laptop computers in the hands of every middle school student in the state. He presented his proposal as a strategy to make Maine's workforce more competitive, thereby broadening Maine's future economic base. Initially, the legislature's Education Committee voted against the proposal, but after lively and sometimes heated debate, the legislature approved the money, creating the Maine Learning Technology Endowment. The Department of Education signed a 4-year, $37.2 million contract with Apple Computer to provide laptop computers, wireless networks, servers, technical support, and teacher training for all 7th and 8th grade students and teachers throughout Maine. However, since that time, the state's economic picture has changed dramatically, with a projected revenue shortfall of more than $280 million. In the midst of this growing budget crisis, Maine has begun a unique project, a project that will introduce computers into the classroom on a larger scale than any other state in the nation. This television program takes a look at the reality of the laptop computers in Maine schools. Are tax dollars being spent on an educational tool that will brighten Maine's economic future? Or is this an unproven experiment that Maine can ill afford?
I do support it, although funding it's going to be tough.
I think it's an absolute waste of taxpayers' dollars.
Well, I'm concerned about the impact on the state budget. Money's tight right now. There was a lot of money that was sunk into the program.
It's a wise investment for our youth and for the state.
It's a waste of money because the kids don't know how to keep taking care of them anyway. They're just going to keep wrecking them. And
probably they'd be better off reading a good book.
When I first discovered that laptops were going to become part of my teaching, it was a little bit frightening, a little exciting.
I didn't even know how to open it when I first got it, and I needed somebody to tell me which button to push.
I thought, wow, what a task in front of us. First of all, I don't understand technology that much.
How do you teach? Because your teaching style it just changes how you're going to teach.
I'm going to be thrown into this, and there's going to be these laptops in front of me. My kids are going to know everything. I'm going to know very little.
We're going to have a lot of people telling us what to do, and how are we going to know if we're doing it well? I did not want it to happen.
There was a part of me that was in fear and trembling, and a part of me that was excited because I love to learn.
Maine received a $1 million grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to support the professional development and training necessary to ready the teachers for the laptop's arrival. As part of that preparation, Apple Computer and the Department of Education provided 2 days of intensive training for all the incoming 7th grade teachers.
One of the things that makes the state laptop initiative different than a lot of initiatives is that we remain solidly focused on curriculum and professional development. There is over 20 years of research on one-to-one teaching with technology. If you look at that research, it looks like places where it's working always focused on the curriculum. Many of the places where it's not working focused on the hardware and the software.
The Maine Learning Technology Initiative is not a computer distribution program. It's a program set up to look at the whole idea of engaged learning, not the teacher having to change everything that she or he does, but continue in the same way with a new set of resources.
The workshops for me were valuable in getting an introduction to the iBook itself, but more importantly, the training both tuned in on how they would be used in the classroom.
It was fairly basic. It was more of the computer use, and I would have liked to have seen more of actual what we can do with it.
This kind of teaching calls for different uses of time. Right. And does anybody do any teaming, any integration across areas?
Instead of you, the teacher, finding the website, have the whole, if you have 20 people looking for a topic instead of one, you let go a little bit of your lesson plan. And
if you're not standing behind the whole thing, the minute they run into a problem, bingo, over to email,
and then emailing each other, well, I was sick. I said, no.
What that is the linkage using the technical connection to make a human connection. That's the piece.
A lot of teachers are also wondering, how are we going to teach with these laptops? Because they didn't grow up with computers. They didn't grow up with teachers who taught how to teach with computers. They didn't go through college at a time when there were courses on how to teach with computers. And so they need mental models of what teaching with technology looks like. They also need good training on how to make it work in their classroom. And we often make the mistake of thinking that that training is, how do I use Word? How do I use HyperStudio? How do I use PowerPoint? How do I make web pages? What they really need to know is, how do I use Word with kids? How do I use multimedia with kids? How do I use web page creation with kids? And the bottom line is that as much as teachers think they need something different, they don't. They need the same thing they've always needed. They need to know, how do I engage kids in meaningful learning?
I think when we got the laptops and they were in our hands, it became very overwhelming.
We literally went for 2 days, and they up front fessed up that, you know, you're going to be learning so much information, you're going to be overwhelmed, and that's exactly what happened.
So I needed a kind of a step-by-step process, and it was presented to me more as, okay, here's this, play around with it. And I wasn't comfortable. Many people there were comfortable with that. I wasn't one of those. So I really had a lot of frustration.
Now, 2 days cannot end your work. This is an ongoing process. We are hoping that teachers will come together in teams and begin to build a team process inside their building.
Beyond the 2-day workshop, the Department of Education established 9 regions within the state and selected 9 teachers to serve as regional integration mentors. The plan calls for these RIMs to continue staff development activities after school and in the summer for teachers within their region.
We wanted people to understand that this project was a journey, and we were at the beginning of a journey, that it was not a destination.
I walked into the cafeteria and I saw over 100 laptops sitting out on the cafeteria tables as we were getting them all ready and prepped to give to the students. And that feeling of awe that, wow, we really are getting these. That's a lot of laptops.
I think the biggest thing is how quickly both students and teachers have just jumped into this. You know, there was some trepidation ahead of time as I worked with the teachers, and there was, you know, palpable nervousness in the room talking with the teachers. And the first day came, the kids got their laptops, and sure enough, those laptops were out and being used in every classroom.
What's your laptop? No, don't open them. Just keep them shut for right now. We'll all open them together.
And then the kids' faces when they really had this sitting in front of them. The amazing way that students have responded, knowing that the world is kind of watching how they're doing this, and their respect for that process and their respect for the technology.
You turn it on by hitting this little button. Some people described it as a U with a line down the middle.
Uh-oh, my little case doesn't have those little plastic things in the corner. Maybe it's yours.
And you type in your password.
As part of the Maine Learning Technology Endowment, over 17,000 computers were distributed to 7th graders in 239 schools.
The anticipation for the students of the computers coming really started the year off on a high point. And because they're 7th graders don't usually have something really special associated with them. So 6th graders are the new kids, 8th graders, you know, big kid on campus. 7th graders is kind of the hard year. And for them to know that they were going to be the computer generation and they were going to be the first group and they get to carry their computers, the momentum really got built.
It's just such a wonderful age group to target. The 7th and 8th grade, when children start to get into the preteen years and self-esteem gets really low, and you know, you're kind of sick of going to elementary school, and then all of a sudden here's something that can really give you a lot of interest in what you're doing. And I think it's helping some of the younger kids look to the older grades and say, wow, I can't wait till I get there.
When we got our computers, it felt really cool because it's not every day that every single student in the 7th grade gets a laptop.
We were usually wicked tired and we didn't want to come to school, but now we do want to come to school.
I like the old-fashioned paper myself, but sometimes I do. I don't know, I think I just feel more safe being able to hold it in my hands.
I like having laptop computers because I'm really good with computers because I have one at home.
We really teach the teachers a bunch of stuff.
We're teaching them just as much as they're teaching us.
That's the way I do it. I click on it twice quickly. If you just click on a word quickly, then it will highlight for you. You don't have to worry about dragging and all that. If you want to highlight like a whole paragraph, I think you click, is it 3 times?
Yeah, 3.
Okay. One of my biggest fears was that the kids would know more than I do. That has come true. They definitely know more than I do. But I think that that's okay, and I thought that that was going to be awful and I'd have to pretend that, you know, I knew more than I did. But they are aware of that. They have taken that, no problem. I like to lean over their shoulder and kind of watch them as they do it, and I learn from them. Oh, there you go. Good job. I would never have caught that.
Is that going to be one of the pictures that you'll want to save for your presentation?
Yeah.
And so you want to use
I walk around the room and I look and see what the kids are doing, and I say, how about spending 10 to 15 minutes with me, would you please? Because my skills are, I'm computer literate. I feel comfortable with the computer. I've been using it for years, but I'm not real technical. So I'm learning right along with the kids, and I think it's great. It's enhanced my teaching, and I can only see getting better as I continue in my profession.
Okay, now open it up. If you close it up, the mouse should go fast now. See if it worked. See if it worked.
Hey, it did work.
Amazing, isn't it? It's technology. It's great.
Trust the process. Trust that even though kids may in some cases know more than teachers, it's okay. They will help each other. They will share their ideas, and trust the students. Trust that they will see this as a learning opportunity and allow them to go with that. Allow them to explore and experiment and really enjoy this process.
Last week we were looking at a certain website in relation to Earth Day, and I was thinking, well, we could have each group review a website and kind of do like a book report. Well, some of the kids were like, can I do it as a PowerPoint presentation? And I said, sure, but I don't know how to do PowerPoint. By the end of the day, Wednesday, I had learned the basics from watching and helping my students and having them show me what they were doing. It was kind of nice to have the surprise of my students teaching me how to, do PowerPoint, and I feel that I could put together a PowerPoint presentation at this point.
For me, writing was really hard. The laptop, everything was there. Everything we could possibly need was on the laptop, and we took it from class to class.
You don't have to write it all down and then write it all down again for a final copy. You can kind of spell check it on the laptops, and then you can send it to one person to put them all together.
It is the kids who have been the most reluctant as writers with just pencil and paper for a number of reasons. The keyboard, somehow they forget that they're actually writing. And this moment happens where they're seeing their own words in front of them, and there's great pride. And so that struggle piece disappeared. And for me, I couldn't believe it. I mean, that was breathtaking. And I've got kids who, they push print and they show me a poem they've written, and it looks so official and it looks so real, and they're really proud of it. If you're just trying to find little information, where would you first go? You're reading a web page, it's not reading. You see, it's being on the computer. But they are reading, whether it's poems by Langston Hughes, as we did today in the classroom. These are kids who would not pick up a Langston Hughes poetry book, but on a website where they get to pick their favorite stanza and circle it on their page and show me, they don't think they've written or read. It just happened.
Well, from the first day, in one of our classrooms, a young man who had no investment in learning and has some learning disabilities, the minute he got that laptop, it became apparent that he loved technology and he had some real skills in technology, and all of a sudden he became the leader in the classroom. And to watch a little bit of self-esteem just start rising, and this young man's been more on task ever since he's had this technology.